Hey guys, Mitch at Swap Time here, and we're going to talk about the V6 to V8 conversion. The main things I'm going to talk about is not so much what hard parts are needed. That can get figured out pretty easily. We're going to talk about the issue wiring wise, because that's what I do, and programming. But to get started, when you do a V6 to V8 conversion, obviously your engine harness needs to be a V8 harness. The main thing that's critical is to match the fuel sensor, the fuel rail sensor, which is in the back of the fuel rail, to what you already have, meaning the year you have. So this one, I think it's a 2014 or 15. So he has a 4-pin fuel sensor, right? So this has a replacement engine in it, and that needs to have a 4-pin fuel sensor, which I need to get an inspection camera back there. Actually, we're gonna pull the intake off to make sure, because this is not working, and that's why it got dropped off here. But so first you gotta match your years. So that means 17 and newer, you need a 3-pin fuel sensor back there. That's really, all the engines are the same, you know, 5.3s and the 6.2 LE3s, LE6s. It's just you change the fuel sensor. But if you do change the fuel sensor, there's wiring underneath this intake, your fuel injection wiring, that has to get swapped out too. And we have all those parts, and you just match it up to what your vehicle currently is. That gets you around a lot of headaches. Don't do this if you're putting a 2018 and newer transmission in it, like an 8-speed. It can cause issues. So you guys can get a hold of me. I can help plan this out and make sure you don't have a bunch of headaches. Next, Nick, I think Nick just took off. We need to show the difference of the harness and what's causing all the issues. So where'd that V6 harness go? Nick, can you grab the V6 harness? All right, he's grabbing that. So as he's grabbing that, I'm gonna show what's causing the issue. So this is the power connection from the Gen 5 harness, and we're doing some repairs here. But the big key to success is the fuse box is different for V6 to V8. I'm sure model types, everything changes. So you're gonna have less wires in this. So Nick, can you hold it just like that, this connector? Yeah, we're gonna try to show roughly the same thing here. So you'll take your V6 harness, which is on top, and you compare it to your V8, and you'll notice, well, this has already been kind of changed over, but you have to have some of the critical wires in the exact same spot. There is a green, or I should say a purple green wire. I'll try to touch it right here with my thumb, right there. And in the V6, you know, it's here. This is your powertrain relay turn on. So this turns on most of the fuse box. So if this wire moves around, depending on what your harness is, so nothing will work. And this has to be in the same spot as the V6. So then this purple wire down here was way up here. And what you do, you pull off this blue face, and you there's a lock in there, and you just pry the lock back a little bit and pull your terminal or your wire out and match it up. You have that. This one, the 17 harness, has had an extra wire for something to do with the fuel system. I honestly don't know. We don't use it in swaps. But we're gonna have to delete that. It's not needed. And the gray wire is your fuel pump signal. So gray to gray, and you'll match up your spots here. The gray wire is right there. Make sure it's good. Ground, anything has to be matched up. Now, if you have a power in a different spot, same thing. The red wires are your battery powers. So if you have extra reds like we do here, we have 3 reds, then you're gonna splice one of the reds to another red wire, okay? Then you just look over everything else. You got a white gray wire, that's your AC compressor control. You got a thicker brown green, that's the AC compressor. This yellow black is starter relay control. So just make sure everything matches your V6. You do have some extra power wires. You can splice them in to here. The other thing you can do is possibly use a V8 fuse box, but you know, it does add expense. It's pretty easy to splice a couple wires. The engine controller and, you know, having a couple extra cylinders is not pulling much power, so it hasn't blown fuses. We've done this before. So you'll do that. Next, you'll have on your harness, you'll have a connector like this. It's going to be a female Molex MX150. We took the face off. There's a bunch of extra wires. This does your fan, which is brown yellow, ambient temp, which is like a blue black and blue gray, and then it can have all different extra wires in it. Like this is 12 pin, but the factory receiving connector, especially on like base models, you know, we just have 3 wires in here. So now of course these won't plug into each other, but what we do, we just swap out the connectors. We can even make adapters if needed, but you got to have your fan and your ambient temp sensor. So we're going to depin this and move those 3 wires to this connection here. So that will do that. There might be an extra black yellow wire if there's like some type of hood sensor, like hood ajar sensor, so you'll have that. But that's pretty much it. You just got to make sure, again, try to match your gears up. The engine itself doesn't matter, it's mostly the harness. The harness is wired different for the fuel sensors, and what sucks is this is a newer harness, so it's actually missing a wire. So we have to take apart half this harness to add the wire to go all the way back to bank 1 fuel injection connection. And then once we pull the intake off, you know, we gotta make sure that it's a 4-pin fuel sensor. You know, there's a good chance this is a 3-pin fuel sensor, which then means we have to replace the fuel injection harness under the intake and then put a 4-pin fuel sensor in there. But that stupid fuel sensor is what made everything kind of complicated on this. But it's, once you understand it, it's a very easy solution to fix. This is cranking off the key and everything. Of course, it's not running. We'll have it running in probably, I don't know, 45 minutes. This guy's had it for over a year in this condition. So if you guys need any help doing a Silverado or whatever, like a 2014 newer truck, V6 to V8 conversion, we can help in many ways. I can help project plan, make sure you have the right parts. You can send both harnesses. We match an RN and then send it back to you. You can use a 8-speed or 10-speed transmission in these, but again, it depends on what year those are to match up the computer and fuel rail sensors. It's a whole thing. So just hit us up, we'll help out. I'm not trying to keep this a secret to try to make a bunch of money. I'm doing this video giving as much information as I can and offering some help as needed. All right, thanks guys, thanks for watching. Bye. As we pulled the intake off, and I can tell immediately by looking at this, it's a 3-pin fuel sensor. It's gonna be hard to see, or 3-wire. There with the camera, you perfectly see it. 3-wire. I mean, there's a couple ways you could do it. You could put a 17 ECU in it, match up to 6L80. You got, you know, programming costs is at least $200. That's just in licensing fees. And then you got to buy the ECU, or it may come with your engine. So it's a decision that has to be made. So, but for me to do it, I have to charge for an ECU, programming, and my time programming it. So it starts adding up quick. This harness, we're just going to mod it ourselves and change it into a 4-pin fuel sensor. You can buy these things off eBay for like 60 bucks, this fuel injection harness, and then buy a sensor. I have 4-pin fuel sensors here. So we're just going to, again, it's trying to save customers some money. He shipped this all the way from Louisiana. Yeah, we'll fix the harness, this harness, change out that, then add the missing wire all the way to the back of that wire. See that blue tape? That's where the missing wire is going to go, because a 4-wire sensor, you know, has one more wire than the 3-pin and that goes to all the way to the ECU to that gray connector, spot 3, I believe. So we're gonna do this. I was hoping we'd have this thing up and running within 30 minutes of receiving it. Nope. So we're gonna change out these parts and have this running in a couple hours. All right, we got everything fixed yesterday, early in the morning. So that's just moisture from the exhaust system. Got rid of the DTC codes. Good there. Rev it up a bit. All good to go. Replace the water pump pulley. This whole part, actually just some bolts. The other one was bent. Replace that. That's good to go. Repair the AC pressure sensor connector so the fans don't run all the time. Rewired a few things. So good to go. So if you guys are interested in doing V6 to V8 conversions, again, you guys can hit me up. I have the knowledge on how to do these. So you can ask me questions. You can send me the harness, the V6 and the V8 harnesses, and I can make sure they all match to make this a painless conversion. And then we'll go over some other things like the drive shaft. The customer, he's actually able to buy a brand new drive shaft, you know, made by GM or whatever. He said it's like $200, and then he reused the factory crossmember by doing a slight modification to it. So that's good news. And then it's best to put the V8 radiator in it because the ports are in different locations to match the V8 engine on how that works. So it doesn't seem too bad. Not too bad. You just gotta know what to do. So again, this will get picked up in a few days. But this engine hasn't ran in a long time, so I'm letting it idle for a while. Have things clear up. It's probably sat for over 1.5 years. Vehicle itself hasn't ran since February, so it's got some older fuel and stuff in it. So I'm just keeping an eye on things. But very cool.